Whoa! The Release the Snyder Cut movement is really picking up steam. They started out, with small demonstrations, with getting news coverage here and there. I think there were signatures and petitions, but in the last few months or so, things have really, gained steam. I think they raised a lot of money. Part of it for, suicide squad prevention, suicide prevention. And lately, yesterday, they got huge social media attention. I think for the second time. Previously this week, they got Release the Snyder Cut, the hashtag trending really high on Twitter. They did it again Sunday. And it was like an all-day thing. That's how they brought it up to Twitter. I mean, high on Twitter. I think it got to like number 3 or higher. I'm recording this video while it's at number 3. After I get done recording it, it could shoot even to higher than that. I even tweeted a Release the Snyder Cut post. But it's huge because not only is it gaining momentum in terms of social media attention, but, big DC stars are voicing their support who hadn't publicly that much before. Gal Gadot posted something on social media recently, and Ben Affleck posted a tweet which was jaw-dropping. He said, "Release the Snyder Cut" on his Twitter account. Ben Affleck doesn't tweet that much, and Ben Affleck famously left the role of Batman, so I think a lot of us expected that Ben Affleck was done with the DCEU. But, he's still tweeting out support because, he's friends with Zack, I assume. A lot of people who work with Zack Snyder on Justice League and other movies do seem to like him. I've heard from people, not directly from people who work with him, but I've heard from someone who works in the comic book industry who's heard from people who have worked with him, that Zack Snyder's a lovely person to work with. I know that's the equivalent of like my second cousin's best friend's roommate said, but I've heard that Zack Snyder's a cool guy to work with, which is probably exactly why Ben Affleck is voicing his support. But Gal Gadot tweeted support for it as well when she just put the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut and included an image of her, I assume from the Justice League set. She's wearing like a jacket here or a coat, and I think she was wearing this brown jacket or coat in parts of Justice League, the Justice League version of Justice League that came out. I don't know if this is that same coat, but I assume this is an image from the movie. And of course, other people involved with the DCEU and the Justice League production have voiced their support multiple times. Jason Momoa, of course, has done it. I think Ray Fisher has done it too. I haven't been following the Snyder Cut movie, that movement that closely. But of course, as a DC fan, I've picked up things here and there, and I've been following it a little bit. Not really, down in the weeds, because I admit I have not been a part of the Release the Snyder Cut movement, unfortunately. I was ambivalent, I would have been, of course I would have liked to see the Snyder Cut, but I wasn't really, passionate. I didn't think that I had to see it, and so I was like, I can take it or leave it. Just being honest. But, I've always been open to the fact that if it came out, I would watch it like that. And, when the news came out recently that Junkie XL score for Justice League was finished, the original version, the Zack Snyder version of Justice League, the Snyder Cut, I got really excited because I want to hear that soundtrack. I love Junkie XL's work. He did great work on Alita Battle Angel. I think he did work on Tomb Raider, and there's other movies he's done. But him and Hans Zimmer did a great job with BVS. And so his work for movie scores is just epic and jaw-droppingly big and grand. And for a movie that's the first cinematic union of the Justice League on the screen, he was the appropriate person to do that. And so when I saw the news, when Justice League came out 2 years ago, before Justice League came out 2 years ago, that Joss Whedon fired him and replaced him with Danny Elfman, I was like, ugh. But I wasn't too disappointed because Danny Elfman is a good composer himself. But, his score for Justice League, the theatrical version, Justice League, as people infamously call it, was pretty generic, in my opinion. There were some cool tracks here and there, but overall, I felt that Danny Elfman's soundtrack was really disappointing. To be fair, though, as someone pointed me, this isn't the first time I said Danny Elfman's Justice League score was disappointing. Someone has pointed out to me in the past that he didn't really have much time to make the score for Justice League. It was a rush timetable, as we all know. Justice League, the reshoots and the recuts and stuff, they didn't have as much time as they should have had. So, that filtered down to the music composing too. So Danny Elfman, he never got to make, he didn't get as much time to make his Justice League soundtrack as awesome as it could have been. So I have to be fair to him. I thought it was generic, but to be fair, you know, he didn't have time to make something awesome. But, you know, at this point, I think that maybe the Snyder Cut would be released. I doubted Warner Brothers would ever release it. But with these voices, you know, some of their own actors, and with it going so high on Twitter, I think it may. Grace Randolph, you know, prominent mega movie vlogger, has said she's heard that there's been, you know, discussions being had about the Snyder Cut. She's put it on Twitter with the hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And, you know, this prominence, you know, the high hashtag trending, and these celebrities, DC celebrities, vocally putting their support out there on the 2-year anniversary of Justice League's release, November 17th, 2019. This is 2 years after November 17th, 2017. According to Grace Randolph, this gives Zack negotiating power, strong negotiating power in these discussions to get his movie made the way, or released the way he wants it released. I had thought that I saw that the special effects were already done, so there's not anything much more to do, but maybe they are not finished and there still needs to be money spent to put more of a polish on it. Maybe that's part of his negotiations, you know, if what Grace is saying is true and what she's hearing is true. So wow, this is a huge turning point for the Snyder Cut movement, right? One, I didn't think, like, if you had said 6 months ago that or earlier than that we'd be at this point, I wouldn't have believed you. But we are here. We're here right now. So, wow, huge. HBO Max, as people have said, would be the best place. Well, I don't know. To release a Snyder Cut, but you could put it in theaters too. But I think that, you know, putting on HBO Max would be best, because it would just be something else to build up hype and get people to subscribe for the streaming service, right? Warner Media wants the streaming service to be successful. So putting as much stuff on there on its opening release as possible to entice people to pay money to sign up is in their best interest. Like the the original cut of Justice League. I know a lot of Zack Snyder and DC fans will sign up. Well, a lot of DC fans would sign up for HBO Max anyway, but you know, this would be something else to sweeten the pie for them. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel, because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.